Boy, oh boy, oh boy. To waiting for a week to have another open court discussion is like waiting for your favorite weekly show to come on. Well, we are back. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co-host, Herb Lewis, the Big Bad Wolf,
No.
Willie A. Price speaks the truth,
The truth is in me.
and hopefully joining us is the gorgeous Christine Brooks.
That's right.
This past Monday, the opening topic was: Do women stop other women from seeking happiness in relationships? We all know they do, and we came to the conclusion that men does it also.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tonight in the Counselor's Corner, we will lead off with the question: Is love the most important thing in relationship and marriages? Followed up with the other two essential talking points. Should women be expected to listen to and respect and follow her man's wishes? Oh boy. Oh boy. Finally, do women really know about men, what they want and think? So you see we got some good ones here tonight. So yes, we're going here again, applying the pressure on women. Tune in to hear what we have to say, and you just might learn something different. That's right. You might learn something different just because you're 35, 40, 45, 50, 65, 70, you turn in, you don't have all the answers. None of us have the blueprint for success when it comes to relationships. What's going on, Urban Legacy Filmworks? Thanks for joining us. So don't forget to like and share our video, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. And we here tonight. So,
Right.
fellas, what's going on? How y'all been doing?
Going on?
What's new?
good.
How was your weekend?
How was my weekend? Weekend was pretty good. Wasn't too exciting. Not too exciting. All my potential girlfriends quit me, so wasn't too much going on.
Willie, man.
I had a few
What's
potential.
going on?
They both quit me, so well, I quit one, and the other one quit me. So
Man, I got it. We got it. Hopefully, we'll hear more as the show goes on, man.
Well, I didn't get to go out of town with my AAU squad, but the 11U squad captured the championship, and our 18U team didn't fare so well. So, I'll take that, especially with the younger kids. It's only been about 2, maybe 3 months, and this is the second tournament we put them in, so they're showing a lot of promise, and they're our future. So we're pretty thrilled with that. We're pretty thrilled with their progress.
wow. So which one won the championship? Which one?
The younger team, the 11U team, the 11 under.
Okay. 11 under. Okay. Wow.
So they coming together. They doing their thing, man.
That's nice, especially at that age.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Carolyn, how you doing? Thanks for joining us tonight in the Counselor's Corner. So we gonna get it going. We got Dr. Dunbar Anwar. How you doing, brother?
All right, the doctor in the house.
So we gonna hopefully, like I said, Christine will be joining in.
I was wondering where she was.
So we're gonna go with this: Is love the most important thing in relationships and marriage? And, I posted this question and had questions similar to that in the Counselor's Corner. And, some people say, they understand the business aspect of it and understand that it's the other things that sometimes keeps marriages and relationships together. Then you have some people that still believe in Disney stories and love will conquer all, unconditional love, and all of that stuff. So, man, like, fellas, tell me what's y'all thought on
No such thing.
No such thing.
No such thing as unconditional love. There's always a condition,
Ah,
especially when the opposite sex is involved. There's always a condition. There's always some you have to do or you need to do or what we gonna do. It's gonna be a condition in there. But as far as is love the most important thing in a relationship or marriage, I say no. I say the most important thing in a relationship, one of the most important things, is actually liking the person more so than because people fall in and out of love all the time. But if you like somebody and you're in that relationship with them, you're gonna like them. But you could love a person and not like them, and it's done. And I've been in situations like that myself where I love somebody, I loved that person, but I didn't like them. So I didn't want to be around them. Every time I got around them, I was always aggravated. But I really cared about them, but I just didn't like them because a lot of stuff that they did was just dirty. And I wasn't gonna get over that. So you can, if you like a person, I feel that that's what's really gonna make it work for you. That's if you like them, you like them. You'll make it work. Y'all work together, and plus communication. I always talk about communication. So liking a person and communication. Love ain't got nothing to do with it.
So
Hi,
let me get
Christine.
this. Hey,
Hi.
Christine, thanks for joining us.
Hi, everybody.
So
Big bad
good
boy.
evening.
so let me get this right. So Willie, so you're saying eventually you had to like that person, then you start loving them, but then things throughout that love cycle, you went from loving them to not even liking them anymore.
Not even liking them. But the thing is, you know what? Even when you say you love somebody, it's normally something that you love about the person. It's not so much you in love with the person. It's something about that person that you're in love with. It's certain. It may be the way they treat you, maybe the way they act, maybe the way they look. It's always something that you're in love with, but it's not like you're in love with the overall person. But you can always like that person. And because you like that person, you can be around them, you can spend time with them, you can travel with them, get in the car and go 12, 13, 14 hours and not go crazy. All those kind of things when you like somebody. But if you don't like somebody and you stuck in the room with them or stuck in the car with them, I don't care how much you might love something about them. I love the way you smile. I love the way you look. I love the way you do your hair. I love the way you dress. But I can't stand you. I don't like you. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Okay.
So I'm late to the show. Are all the men on the same page about not that
I was the
love
first
is
one to
not?
go. I was the first
Okay.
one. I had to let them have it before you got here, Christine.
I'll say it like this. I think love is overrated, and it's similar to what Willie is saying. If I can't stand to be around you, there's nothing else that's going to matter. So ultimately, I have to really be comfortable with you. Because if I'm comfortable with you, I don't have to love you. I'm gonna be there. Love can fade. Look, because what I'm discovering now is that a lot of what people call love comes with strings, comes with attachments. It's like Geppetto and Pinocchio. You cut one of them strings, all of a sudden the whole act falls apart. Well, I didn't like you anyway. I didn't care about you. Your breath stink, or this or that, and it becomes almost a vicious cycle to where you wonder what the foundation was built upon. And it's that old adage, the straw that broke the camel's back. I always try and stay away from that. So, and it's like Willie said as well with communication. A lot of times you get in situations where people don't have the lines of communication open the way they need to. And when I say that, I mean this. You should be able to discuss anything with your partner, circumstances permitting, at any time. And what I mean, like, what about that is this: if your partner does something that you don't like, or vice versa, that should be able to be discussed right then and there. No tabling something, no putting it off for weeks, and then when a situation comes up, one of you says, "Well, you did this and you did that," then, and nobody knows what you're talking about because it didn't happen in the morning. It happened 2 weeks ago, a month ago. And the person that committed the infraction is thinking, oh, it wasn't a big to do. And all of a sudden, it's a big to do. So, you know, in the moment, things need to be discussed. Those lines of communication need to be open, and relationships need to be entered with a genuine understanding of what the ultimate goal is between the two people. And I've always said this, and I'll continue to say this. Stop involving everybody else in your relationship. It ain't theirs. It ain't your mama's. It ain't your cousins. It ain't your best friends. It's your relationship. How you relate to the individual that you want to relate to. If you get along long enough, love's going to come. Just like if you work long enough, success is going to come. If you're diligent, whatever you do, you're going to find success on the other end. And I believe that with love.
All right. What's going on, Anwar? Thanks for joining us.
No problem, guys. Willie, I'm gonna hit you up pretty soon about something.
Okay.
Christine, good evening.
Hello.
All right, I'm gonna be quick. I'm warming my food up here, but I just want to come up in a second. What happened?
I just noticed it must be the dinner hour or something. He's eating. You're about to eat.
Yeah, I'm usually sitting
We got
eating.
some wings on order.
That's at 11:30.
It's too early.
Okay, well, really quickly, and I'm gonna get out of the way. I just wanted to come up and second what Willie said, because I was engaged to someone at one point, and fortunately, it didn't go through. And one of the things I figured out toward the end, which no one in my family circle explained to me, is that you could love somebody, but you might not like them. Y'all might just get on each other's nerves. You know, you might like having sex with the other person, but they might start stuff randomly, and you laying up in bed thinking, okay, why am I laying up in bed thinking about this? You know, why she do that? Why she say that? Why she pick that fight with me? Doesn't she know I've important meetings in the morning? You know, so I just wanted to agree with Willie. There are so many other things that go into staying with someone long term besides loving them. There's communication, there's respect, there's maturity. You know, I'm sure we all know people who are in our age groups who are not mature.
Not at all.
And then I'm gonna close with this. My mentor told me something a couple of years ago. We were talking about marriage and legacy and those things. He says, it's all right to love the person, he said, but that better not be the only thing. Mm-hmm. That better not be the only reason you're with them. That better not be the only reason you marry them.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna laugh.
Yeah. So, you guys and gal, keep up the good work. I'm going to drop down and eat my dinner and listen.
All right.
We appreciate it.
Right, hit me up later.
Christine.
Everybody just crushed my little feelings. Y'all just crushed my feelings.
Speak.
Why we crush your feelings?
Because I guess I'm a bit of a hopeless romantic, but I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm like, dang it. They're right. Because I'm like, I had to, kind of like go back in the archives. Okay, well, yeah. You were in love, deeply in love, and stuff went south, and you still left. Even though you still love a person. So, unfortunately, y'all right.
Well, the thing that's presented with a lot of women is, like David always says, is the Disney version of what love is. Now, a lot of people will try and conflate love and romance, and they are not the same thing. People will ask, well, what's the difference? Romance is setting the mood for sex. Period. Love is the glue that's going to keep everything together once you've established that you have a chemistry, that you like each other enough to tolerate each other's bullshit. It reminds me of a story counselor told when I was in college at Buff State. He said, class, and it was an EOP class. And he said, are you willing to take the toilet paper that somebody else used and wipe your ass with it? And
Holy cow.
yes.
What class was this?
Ooh, you still want to eat?
This is the counselor. This is the counselor. And when he said it, it was like you just recorded, Willie. It was just like, boom.
Sound like my type of counselor.
Yeah, whatever.
And what it did, and what it did was it brought some levity to the situation, and it kind of just put a damper on what people thought.
Meaning to loving somebody's dirty
Yes.
drawers. Oh no!
Right,
Thank you.
right. Because if you let's go back to when our parents, grandparents were involved. You don't think that has some situations that were knocked down, dragged out, disagreements, but they stayed because they saw the bigger picture?
I don't know.
But see, to me, that's where love actually comes in. That's what sees you through when
you're in my ear, babe.
It's
You like
bad
that
and.
person. When you like that person, you say love. You might call it
I
love.
don't know. I think you can get to a place you don't like them, but you can grow. You can grow to like them again if you
don't like a person.
problem. And then love is what holds you.
Love can come and go. We fall in and out of love all the time. But if you like a person, you'll be willing to work through whatever needs to be worked through in that situation because you like that
I'm
person.
more willing to work through something with somebody I love. Problem is, they have to be willing to work too.
Well, let me take that for a moment. I'll bring up former President Barack Obama and his wife, Michelle.
Okay.
When they went to therapy, she told the therapist that, look, you need to fix him. Something's wrong with him. And you know what the therapist replied to her? He said, well, he's not in this by himself, and you think you perfect? See, often a lot of people don't want to look in the mirror and start to assess what they are doing wrong. And it reminds me of something. Yeah, and you rarely hear me quote Creflo Dollar, but he said something that was mind-boggling, earth-shattering. He had a couple up there, and they were therapy on stage, and he said to the husband, he said, "It is none of your business how your wife treats you." And he turned to her and he said the same thing. He said, "It's none of your business how your husband treats you." In other words, you should be treating that person the same way you would treat yourself.
That's right. Treat me the way you want to be treated.
And often that's lost. So when we get into these relationships, whether it's a friends with benefits relationship, a long-term relationship, or whatever the case is, the first thing we lose sight of is how we treat each other. Do you value that person's time? Do you value that person's space? What do you value of that person that's going to keep that person coming back to you? Because it reminds me of the line in Boomerang. When Eddie says, when she says, love should have brought you home, she said, yes, sex kept you out. You got to make your home situation something that somebody wants to come back to. They got to be rushing it on. It's like the song Walking in Rhythm. Some people that never heard the song, go listen to the song. You'll understand exactly what I'm talking about. Christine may have heard it. I'm sure Willie may have heard. People probably heard, but he's rushing to get back home because that's where his love is.
Okay. Hey, Lakia, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Dr. Lakia.
Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Look at all
I miss
the
you guys.
there.
What's going on? It's been a good topic. I'm enjoying what
Yeah.
Herb over there trying to say. What he's trying to say. No, I was joking. But that's some good stuff. So what's the topic?
Wait, what's the topic? How you gonna say that's a good topic and then don't know what the topic is?
I don't know what, like, I don't know exactly
Is
what,
love
like,
the most important thing in a relationship and marriage?
honesty and communication. Just being honest, they being transparent, straight, just tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. And the truth hurts, but I'd rather hear the truth, deal with it, process it, understand it, and move forward. Or, if you have to figure it out, then move forward. Um, Honesty, if you don't be yourself and be honest with each other, even to the deepest of things that you know even to the deepest thing, like you got to be honest, and communication is key. And Herb, you said something totally so true, is that when a man is interested in a woman, they want to get to their woman. They ain't trying to be out
Yeah.
nowhere else. They trying to get home to their
Yeah.
woman. And that's a huge thing. Even with the woman, she's trying to get to that man, because it's that connection that brings you to, like, it's just like you have that connection and you hold dear to that connection, and you appreciate it because you've been waiting for it for so long. You got to keep you looking forward to going home. So yeah, that's a huge thing.
So one of the questions I had presented, and I talked about the business aspect of it, because all people know that when you get to a certain age, that business element of a relationship becomes a key
Partnership.
factor.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that factor is more important than the love part, because it causes so much. If your business is not in line, then it causes so much complications.
Mm-hmm.
But all too often, you hear people like, nah, well, if they wanted, if they wanted a person for the business aspect, then they should have, why get married and just start a business together? And I'm like, it's not how it works, whatever.
Yeah.
That's not how it works, whatever. I mean, the love, obviously. And then I proposed something like, what if you went at it in a different aspect, and someone came to you and said, no, I want to marry you, but I'm not in love with you, but
Right.
I love the way, your business savvy, your other skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, so what if people approached it like that, and then eventually the love came in? Most people wasn't trying to, they wasn't trying to hear that aspect, because they wanted
I'm
someone.
one of them. I'm not trying to hear that.
No,
People
that's
look-
real. No, I
People
think
looking for love. They looking
that's
for
real.
love, and there is
Yeah.
there is no love that's going to hold that relationship together. It's
Well,
basically
if that's a person that's not willing to handle their business, and for us to work together to handle business together, we're never going to get to the point of marriage anyway. I'm checking for those things before that ever comes about.
Now, hold on. Let me jump in here, Christine.
If I can say something real quick, the one thing
Go
I
ahead.
can say that I heard someone say to me is that I'm gonna love the hell out of you. They just knew that we were going to. They wanted to love me. Is it there yet? No, it wasn't. Was it there yet? Like, to that full of what you would say what love is between a man and a woman or whomever. But to know that this is my goal. My goal is to love you, because I love what I see about you. I know, like David was saying, I love what I perceive from you, whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm good with that. I'm cool with that. Same here. And
But that's
it's been working. So,
but that's what I
and
was
it
saying.
developed into something greater. It's
That's
developing
what I
into
said
something
earlier.
greater.
I said even when you say you love somebody, it's always something that you love about that person. And you say, I'm gonna love you, I want to love the hell out of you, I want to love you to death. But normally it's certain things about you that they're loving. It's the way you look, the way you act, the way you smile. there's certain things that they love about you, and that's what builds. They build on top of that. But you actually have to like that person too, because if you don't like that person, those things you love about them will eventually fade away, because what you don't like about that person is what's going to take the most control over your emotions with that person.
So this is just how I feel about it. I do agree with the things you're saying about you need to like the person. I agree that, you know, you have to be willing to work together. I agree that you
Okay, go.
I agree that there's much more to it than love. But I would never marry someone who did not already love me. If they didn't love me, we're not walking down an aisle, we're not taking vows. But on the flip side of that, kind of like what you all said, because I have been on the road to marriage before, and that's what stopped me in my tracks, is realizing that person didn't know how to handle business. They didn't know how to.
So
they started working and everything, but shiny objects took their attention away from goals, and I'm like, I can't do this. You know, I can't. I can't be with someone that I'd have to worry that I'm going to have to carry us by myself because you can't focus. So I will agree. I've had to reassess just in the brief time that we've been talking. While love isn't the most important thing, it is still an important thing.
Yeah. And love, like you said, you're gonna love things about a person. Now, let me give you. I'm gonna ask you something, Christina, because this is a good point. So, say for example, you were saying you want to love a person, but say you love a person, but you don't like the way they talk to you sometimes, and you don't like the way that they touch you, like intimacy. You don't like having sex with them because they just something about it. How would you feel? Do you think that love would eventually wear off? How do you think? So how do you think you would respond to that? Because you love them so much, but at certain times they get upset or they're in a bad mood, and then you don't like the way they talk to you sometimes when they're in those moods. And then when it's intimacy, you just don't like the way they make love to you. But you still love them.
I think we could work on the not liking the way they make love, but the getting upset and not liking how they treat me when they're upset, even though it's not about me, that has to be addressed. That can't be corrected. I can't, because to me that's abuse.
And no matter how much you love them, though, right? No matter how much you love them.
Yep. No matter how much.
Exactly. And see, that's what I said. You know, you can love a person, but if there's certain things about that person you don't like, and that's why I talk about the relationship I was in. I loved a lot of different things. I love spending time with this person. I love talking to this person. I love doing things. And like when they came around, we just had a great time. But I didn't like the way she talked to me. And when she was upset, or when she was, you know, when different things she would do, the way she would talk to me, and all those things carried more weight than all the things about me loving the time with her. That's why right there. I didn't like them at all.
Yeah, that right there.
So I didn't like them at all.
I wouldn't be able to get past that.
Exactly. And that's why I said,
so let me ask this question, Christine. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, if you like, and I was going to go because you said, but we were saying, if I said like a person, communication, and then I want to add a third one, intimacy. Intimacy is very important in a relationship. Intimacy, I say intimacy / sex, because a sexless, intimate relationship, whatever, that if you don't have intimacy and sex in your relationship and talk about what your partner needs and what they need from you, if you don't talk about those things and it's not taken care of, the relationship not going to work either, no matter how much you love them.
So what happens, Willie, and we often talk about this when, as we get older, you know, the increase in weight, the attractiveness, the stuff that you once loved or was attracted to. Now all of a sudden, things have changed, and we all change. Uh, how do you compensate for that?
What do you mean,
Depends
like
on,
compensate?
depends on how
Like,
drastic the change is, though, or what was the cause of the change. If the person, say, for example, I know a friend of mine who was a very pretty girl, very fit, nice looking girl, pretty girl, and she ended up having a thyroid problem and ended up gaining like 150, 200 pounds. And when I saw her, I didn't even recognize her because she had gotten so big, but because of her face, and she used to do this little tick thing with her sucking her teeth thing, and that's what made me recognize her. Because I looked at her and she was looking at me when she was doing it. I was like, and then I said her name and she was like, yeah. But that kind of situation where if it's a medical problem, but if the person just letting themselves go, if you can't talk and encourage them to, try to do better or work on it, then you're going to end up falling out of it again too, no matter how much you love that person. Again, you love them, but if there's certain things you don't like about them that really start to get to you, and weight could be a problem, taking care of themselves, hygiene, all those things can become a problem to the point where you don't like that person and you don't want to be around them. You're not trying to make love to somebody, and before they even start sweating, they stinking.
Mm. Oh.
Right.
The truth
All
is that.
righty then.
And, some, and
and
sometimes
that goes both ways.
and
Yeah.
sometimes it don't even have to be a weight issue. It could be a case of somebody losing a parent, and the things that they used to be passionate about, all of a sudden they kind of let themselves go. They
Depression.
go
Yeah.
into a depression and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And meanwhile, you with this person, and you like, listen, like I did all I can do.
What is your
Try to recommend, therapy. Was willing to go with them, and if they're not willing to do it, and eventually, how long will love continue on in situations like that? Or you say, you know what, this is bringing me down. I got to get the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah,
I can't.
sinking ship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Some
don't think
things you
anybody
can't
wants
help.
to be on a sinking ship too long.
Some relationships you can't help, no matter what, no
Yeah.
matter how much you love and try. If it's that bad of situation, especially with depression. Depression is a mental health thing, and sometimes those things are more than any one individual can do or change. That person probably needs so many different forms of help. They might even need medication, depending on how depressed they are.
That I agree with that. But
Yeah,
those are
it's a. Go
those are
ahead.
different cases.
You better be chewing on anything.
Well, you would be surprised at let's take postpartum for instance. I think a lot of people don't realize how that actually affects more women than what's reported. The only time we hear about postpartum is when it happens to somebody that's famous. We never hear about postpartum from your friends, your neighbors, people in your church if you're there, people on your job. You just assuming that something's not right, but we don't know what isn't right. And all of a sudden now the information starts to leak out just piecemeal, and nobody really knows how to deal with somebody that's going through postpartum. Because what do you say? What do you tell them? Because as much as I know about a lot of things, postpartum is something I know very little about. I'll be the first to say it's not something you can sit there and talk your way through if you're a woman that's going through that. And in all honesty, this is a realm that unless you're medically certified, men are clueless.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Men are
There's
pretty
certain
clueless
mental
about
health
even
things.
about
Yeah,
postpartum blues, which is a different thing. But most
yeah.
women suffer postpartum blues. Most women, it's not that we go into postpartum depression. That's deeper than that. But most women suffer postpartum blues because of the wild changes with our hormones, and suddenly you're dealing with this infant that and of your focus. So Uh, yes, you wouldn't know anything about that. No man would. I don't even think, even if he's been with a woman with, and she's had his children, he might empathize or sympathize, but he could never know.
Never understand it, right? Exactly,
Mm-hmm.
because that's beyond our scope. Definitely,
Mm-hmm.
definitely beyond our scope.
Well, majority of doctors are men, and so
Mm-hmm.
women, they
They
probably
don't
go to a
understand
man
it.
doctor to counsel a woman or even therapy.
But
So I wouldn't say,
which ones do you normally think work better, a woman doctor or a man doctor with that person?
honestly,
Because a woman will be able to relate.
let me think about it. So let me think about in just my
Mhm.
own situation, having children. Did I ever suffer from postpartum depression? Um, I believe to a degree, not major, but to a degree. And maybe I'm just a little bit different. But prayer definitely helps release, having that time for yourself. You have to have a mate or someone, like have that circle of people that allow you to have the time that you need to have some just self-care.
Mhm.
Medication is not always the answer, and there's natural things that you can do that can help you, like, go through different things. Maybe it's something that's relating to um what we've experienced as our parents were with us. You never know what it is that are the triggers that causes these things. So it's basically, I think it's like finding yourself, figuring out what it is that is causing you to feel the way that you feel. Yeah, hormones do play a part in that, but I do believe you can have some control over your emotions. We need to, as people, need to learn how to control our emotions, because if we don't, then we're all just going allowing our emotions to control us. We need to get into a space that we could say, okay, it's time to chill, time to let me just relax. I'm not thinking right, I'm not acting right. Let me just sit back and let me just calm down, or do something, find something that can help you get your mind back and, like, get back into a place where you have some stability and can think clear.
Well,
And those are things I think that we need to work more on than just going to the doctor for medication. Let's find that temperance. Let's find that space where we can learn how to have some, just be in a mental state that we can do for ourselves. If it's yoga, if it's exercising, if it's, some people go like retail therapy, whatever it may be. But do something that you need to do to get yourself back in a mental state that's healthy for you and your children or
And
your
save
child.
that
There's a
marriage.
well, let me jump in here real quick. There's a requirement to have that met, Lakia, and the requirement to have that met is the individual has to know themselves. And far too often, a lot of people are unwilling to ask themselves the critical question: who am I? Like, if
Right.
you take
You
away,
need to.
if you take away my money, if you take away my home, if you take away my friends, if you take away my family, what am I? And a lot of people have never really sat there and thought about who they are, what they do, why they exist.
So true.
This is why I always tell people, get out into the world, learn what your strengths are, learn what your weaknesses are. I love to spend time alone. People think I'm antisocial. Quite the opposite. The reason why I like to spend so much time alone is because it allows me to get inside here. I find out who I am. I find out all the things that I loathe about myself. I find out all the thoughts that I have that just make me cringe. And I say, you got some issues. I do. I often say to myself, I say, Herb, you got some issues. But they are not going to derail me from living my life. But people will, what do you mean you got some issues? Because I always say this. I say, problems you can work out, you can solve. Issues you need to seek therapy. I'll be walking through, just have a random thought. What if I just did some asinine, just crazy shit? Just smack somebody just to smack somebody. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But those are the thoughts that I have. And I embrace that side of me because we all have that dark side. And sometimes we run from that dark side because we don't want to acknowledge that it exists.
So true.
And the easiest way to allow something to overtake you is to deny the existence of it. Me, I embrace that crazy person that's within me. That's why I tell people, leave me the fuck alone. You don't want me to unleash him.
But that's so true because, like you were saying, you have to be honest with yourself first. Who are you? Like you said, what are your triggers?
Mhm.
You know, where you need to like just pay it to be self-aware of what's
Yes.
going on with you. Be
As
self-aware.
crazy as it sounds, yeah.
And that's
Well-
we're so busy focused on everybody else, what everybody else is doing, and what they're not doing, that we're forgetting we need to be paying attention to ourselves. And that's why I would encourage anybody that is going through any type of depression, any type of things, or you know, or bitterness or whatever it may be that people go through in life, that's taking their peace. Now, not that you're not going to get frustrated about things. We need to vent. We get frustrated. Okay,
frustrated.
somebody ticked us off. That's okay. That's going to happen. But deal with it and process it, like I said, and then work on letting it go.
Well,
So, and it makes it better for yourself and then whoever and those that's around you.
I'm about to throw this shameless plug out there because that, again, what Herb was just talking about is my program that I told you I do with the youth. No Dream is Impossible. The blue book over here, the blue book that you see right there. No Dream is Impossible. 4 W's to a successful life. Understanding who you are. Key thing, understanding who you are, where you're trying to go in the situations in life. What is it going to take for you to get there? And that key for sticking to those goals is understanding why you're willing to achieve or set that goal. And no matter what that goal is, the why will never change. So when a kid wants to give up on something, you say, well, why did you decide to do it in the first place? And that keeps them encouraged and keeps them focused on doing whatever that goal was. The what to achieve that goal may change, but that why will never change. And understanding who they are and what their specialized skills and strengths are, that's the first W that we cover with them, helping them to understand who they are. Who are you? And when you ask an adult that, so who are you? The first thing they say is their name.
Yeah.
First thing they say is their name. But they don't really understand who they are because they never really think about who they are.
See, the thing is with kids, they still got a lot of life to live. So
Right.
it's a different ball game with kids. They got a lot of life to live. Their brains are not even developed yet, so it can be changed. But when you're talking about a 40, 50, 60-year-old person and they still ain't got it yet, and after a while, they're not going to get that shit. They're not going to get it. So that's the bottom line. So when you don't have critical thinking skills or emotional intelligence, where you going to get it from? Where you going to get it from? Where?
And some people just refuse to change, though. And sometimes they know that there's an issue, but because of their stubbornness or their unwillingness to change, that becomes the problem.
I think Herb just said that.
You know, they know they have an issue, but because they're stubborn, they don't want to change. They don't want you to know that you was right because you done told them 50 times that was the problem. They refuse to change because that's just the way that person is. And again, what ends up happening? You end up not liking that person. You might still love them, but you end up not liking them for that reason.
Yeah.
And because of that dislike, that's what makes you leave that person. And not so much you still love them, you just can't be around them.
Yep.
But I do believe that if you really love somebody, you will change. You will want to change. Like if you really care for someone. And the thing is, I don't see, that's the thing. It's like no one's striving, like not no one, but you should strive. If you meet a woman or a man that just does it for you, okay, I feel like, why wouldn't I want to do those tweaks that will please him, you know? And why
I think
shouldn't
in
he?
those instances, you already know what issues you have.
But that's like, and they're not
So
even
you met somebody.
issues.
That's like saying you met somebody. I mean,
see,
you can't just come in and be like, it's my way.
Address some things that you ignore.
Or no way. Say it again.
I said, to me, that means you've met somebody that makes you want to address those things you ignore.
Right. Make you willing to change.
No,
or,
not necessarily.
Because otherwise, a person has to know that they have an issue they have to know and understand it and accept that they have an issue to even want to change. Otherwise, they tend to look at you like this. I'm sure all of us have heard this is just the way I am.
Right.
Right.
That's
No,
the
that's true.
avoidance.
Now that's one way of looking at it, but there's other ways of looking at it. There's something that's ways that you've been doing things all your life, but they come along and say, you know, I prefer it this way, and you switch it up for that reason. You
let me
can
say
that's
this.
another way of looking at
Does
it.
that
Not
make
just
it
that
right?
it's
Let
an
me-
You've been
issue.
doing it
Doesn't
all
mean that
your
it's an
life, though?
issue, but say it again.
But does that make it right? Just because it's something you've been doing all your life, does that mean that it's the right way?
It doesn't
or-
make it right. No, but it
Exactly.
doesn't mean that it's right. So that's what I'm saying. It could go either way. I'm just saying that's not
so
the
you
only
have
way
to
to
look
look
at
at
the
it.
I guess to me
situation
though,
that you're
that's not
bringing that
really
into.
changing yourself.
Yeah, but you
That's
have
not
to bring that.
That's
you
not
know,
like a
that's-
major change within yourself.
Right,
I've
right.
been I thought this was the right way to do something, you know, all my life. This is how I've been doing it. It's
Doing
worked
it,
for
right.
me. You come along and you show me something different, and I'm like,
Right.
oh, never thought of it that way. Let me
True.
try it. That's
Yeah.
that's different than,
Yes,
you know,
it is.
You know, some people will say, "No, I'm not doing
you
that."
have a bad
I see what
attitude,
you're saying,
and I'm like, no, I don't.
yeah,
This is just the way I am.
right. And that's what
I-
some people do. They refuse to even consider. You know, even though they see it could be better, or it is something better, or an easier way, because
There's
they've been
nothing
doing
wrong
it.
with me.
That's yeah,
Right.
ain't nothing wrong with me. That's just you just got a problem with it.
Well, let me
Right.
say this.
You
Let me
know.
say this. Let me interject on this. When Lagia says sometimes you meet somebody and you would think you want to change. Again, they may change when they're with you. They're not always with you, and they still have a circumference of other people that have negative influences that they're around.
They
So there's
reinforce their
Yeah.
bad behavior.
Exactly.
Their-
So
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
same thing why this school thing don't work. It won't work because at the end of the day, a kid can behave a certain way in school and they're a certain way. Then when they go home, shit
They
change.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's the whole concept. Even like when people in rehab, whatever, like they say, people, places, and things make you it's triggers for you and bring you down. Same thing with life period and relationships, people, places, and things. So you could be with that person and you're good, like, man, I love you, we together, we smiling, laughing. But once y'all not together and they go back to where they
That
used
old
to be,
environment.
that environment, they still gonna have those behaviors. So none of this stuff is easy. It's hard as hell.
You know
And-
what?
and you
It
wonder
is
why.
hard. No, the truth is, it is hard. But you have to be when you're willing to do something. It's not. I believe it can be a little easier if you're willing to do. You know what I mean? Like for me, if somebody, I have girlfriends that may not like the moves that I make, but it's none of their business what moves I make. You know what I mean? And if they don't like it, oh well. But these are moves that I'm making, or this is how I'm being, or family members. You have to get into a space where you don't care what other people think. If this works for you, then this what you need to do. I don't care. Like they're not the ones that's putting food on your table. You know what I mean? They're not the ones putting a roof over your head. And
If people thought like that, if people really thought like that, you wouldn't have all of the interference in relationships. If
True.
people really believe that, so
you got to keep
I
right. You
don't
got
know.
people got to stay in their lane.
Yeah, but you
And
know
that's
what?
the bottom line. People need to stay in their lane when it comes to relationships. Like stay out of mind. Like I'm gonna do me, you do you, and I'm gonna do me because I can't control what you do over there. So don't come over here and try to influence or control what I have going on over here.
The hardest thing.
Sometimes you have to just, you know, what we say, surround yourself with better. You hear me say that sometimes. Surround yourself with better. That's what we tell the kids. So sometimes in those situations where you know that outside influence is going to try to keep you in that situation, sometimes you have to, you'll find people will avoid those friends or avoid that family member or avoid those, you know, people because they know when they get around those people, it's going to be the same old behavior that they've been trying to get away from. So then they'll try to avoid that. Surrounding themselves with other people who may not be those, you know, that influence or that negativity that they're trying to avoid or getting them back into that same behavior that they're trying to get out of. So surrounding yourself with better or just being, you know, with fewer people in your circle.
Or distancing yourself.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah,
I feel like when people ain't speaking my language, when it comes to me and my life and my mental state, my children, and what's the point of even being around? I had to get there.
Especially
But
when they
now,
see you doing better, when they see you doing good and doing better, people resent that. People
Yes.
resent that because they look
Yep.
at you and look at their lives, and then all of a sudden they want to try to, play down what you're doing or try to bring some deception to it, or something to deter you from doing as well as you're doing. So again, you have to take yourself out of that circle, avoid being around those people because you already know how they're gonna come at you every time they come around you. So again, surrounding yourself with better means sometimes just being by yourself, or with your kids, and with the ones that's going to support you.
and that's what they call self-preservation. Sometimes you have to go into self-preservation mode. It took me, and I share with people, it took me years to get there. I was a yes person, always saying yes. Yes, I can do. Yes, I can do that. Yes, yes, yes. Then I said, you know what? It's either if you for me or you're against me. If I say no, either you're gonna still be there or you're not. And if you're not, oh well, good riddance. Thank you. It just showed me who you really
I'm
were.
looking for me a yes woman. You know where I can find one?
well, leading to that, we're gonna move on to the next question. So, what you're looking for? Well, should women be expected to listen and respect and follow her man's wishes? So, Willie said he's looking for a yes woman.
But in this case, should a woman be expected to listen and respect and follow her man's wishes? I don't think she should. Well, you should expect her to be cooperative. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say you should expect her to be cooperative, because in order for that relationship to work, like you said, especially as you get older, we're both coming in with different things we've been doing to make it to where we got to this age. So we're going to have to learn how to cooperate and adjust and be accepting of that personality and those moods or whatever that person has that they're going to bring to the table if you want to relate. So when you say listen to and respect, they should listen because that's part of communication. Be respectful, even if you don't agree with it, be respectful of it, and then follow her man's wishes. I don't know if you should follow that. That's the part that gets me there. Follow their wishes. I don't know about follow their wishes, but I think you should be open to what he's saying. And that's part of the communication, listening and discussing, and then being respectful, because you're not always going to agree, but at least be respectful of what of that person's thoughts and feelings. And then as far as doing what they, follow his wishes or follow her wishes, I don't think you should be open to, be receptive to understanding what their wishes are, especially if it involves intimacy and sex.
Well, I'm going to say it like this, as a woman's perspective. And actually, we've been saying this, because it's true. And Jill Scott, I don't know if you guys heard Jill Scott say, if you can tell me what to do, then you can tell me what to do. But if you can't tell me what to do, then you can't tell me what to do. And it's all about how the man is and how he brings his energy, how he brings himself as a man. He could tell me what to do, and I'm gonna respect it. And it's not out of him not respecting what I think, not respecting or not considering me, or not being attentive to me or my thoughts or wishes or concerns. It's not that. Is that because all of that is in there, he can tell me what to do. And that is what it's about. I've always said, I don't have a problem submitting to a man that can tell me what to do, but I am a strong woman. So it takes a special kind of man to be able to tell me what to do, because I'll consider what the person said, and I'll toil over it. But if it don't make sense, it don't feel right, then I'm not gonna. You can't tell me what to do. But if you could tell me what to do, I'm gonna let you tell me what to do. If you that man.
So you're open to being submissive if you feel comfortable in that relationship with that person and confident that that person is not going to be misleading in what's going on.
I trust him. If I trust him, if I, believe in him, if I, can see his vision, or see that he considers me, he's not ignoring me, he's including me, then yeah, he could tell me what to do.
You guys remember the other day, last week, I posted a post about a person. I said a person I met, and they were uncooperative, refused to be submissive. I had this whole scenario about her, and I was talking about how this person, she just said, I am not being submissive to no man. I'm not cooperative. I'm not trying to be cooperative. And I said, and that's why she's still single. Yeah. And I told you I met this person.
Yeah, you made a post about it, didn't you?
Yeah, I made a post about it. That's why I said, remember that post? I ran into her yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Are y'all back together?
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. I haven't seen her in like 2-3 years, and I saw her yesterday. I walked in, I started thinking about the post, and she was calling me mean, and I said, "Why are you calling me mean?" And she said, "Because you're always talking about me and saying this, that, and the other." And I said, "Well, are you this, and that, and still not willing to submit?" She said, "Yeah, that's me. I'm not doing it." And I said, "See, that's
that goes back to what I said before about that's the way I am, and I'm not changing, and you can't change me. I'm not changing.
Single and miserable, single and miserable."
Right.
That's emotional.
That's exactly what I told her.
Issue right there.
Nothing had changed, and I said, "Wow."
Because when you think of submit, and a lot of people think of it like it's a
think of it as slavery.
Dominant thing towards men, but men submit to women. It's certain things that women know and they can do. And you shut the hell up and you listen as a man, whatever, even though you can still be a leader. Leaders listen. If you don't listen and never listen, you're not no leader. So men do it as well. Sometimes women dead on with stuff. And you say to yourself, ain't nothing I'm gonna say. She usually right. And those type of women, you're comfortable with going to, like, listen, I'm going through this, I'm struggling with this, and you know that they're gonna give you good sound feedback. So all that submissive and all that stuff, it goes both ways, whatever. It depends on the situation.
I think that for a lot of women, just hearing that term, are you willing to submit, as a trigger? It's a trigger. It triggers bad memories of somebody who was abusive.
Controlling.
Controlling. I mean, to me, it's one and the same. You ask me, if you're controlling to the point of my misery, if you're controlling, you're abusive. So it's just a trigger for them, and they don't have an understanding of the fact that there can be love involved in that scenario.
Once they hear the word,
and I would definitely agree with Lakeisha, because if, man, you coming from the right place, yeah, I'll listen to what you got to say. I'll submit, sure. I'll do all that stuff.
Some women hear that word, and once they hear that word, they don't hear nothing else after that word. They've already shut down. They've already, and like you said, a lot of them, because they've been through something where submissive meant being in an abusive or controlling relationship. So anytime they hear that word, that's the first thing that comes to mind to them. So they're never, like I said, they're never going to submit. They're never going to be,
Or, and I guess the actuality is it might not even be something they've personally experienced. Maybe they saw their mother go through it.
Or
that's what I was just thinking. I was just thinking
there's something that is rarely talked about. We have a lot of people, male and female, that will adopt somebody else's experiences and make them their own. And this is why I'm a proponent of men actually having that control, because for better or for worse, when something happens in a relationship, more often than not, society at large is going to look to a male and say, where's your support system? Where was your father? Who's helping you? We rarely look to mothers at beyond a certain point in a child's growth process to make sure that child has achieved a level of growth and maturity. We say that once an individual gets to be in their mid-20s, they should be a fully functional, autonomous adult. And often, particularly now with the way families are, half of that is missing because half of these kids aren't around a male influence, so they don't get the balance and the knowledge of both genders. So they lack that perspective and they're only being fed one perspective consistently. So when they've only fed one perspective consistently and they only know one way to address a certain situation, all of a sudden now they start to fall apart when what would be a normal situation for us, we handle it, we just move on. They just say, I can't, and they break down and they start to cry and they get flustered and frustrated and then they start to lash out.
Well, I'm going to touch on something a little bit about sort of like what Herb was talking about. But this was something, another post. I love reading these posts. But this post was about the changing role of the black man and the man in the family. And this post was talking about how the man's role is not as important to a woman in this modern day as it was years ago. Because if you think about it, back prior to early years, the man was the head of the household. He had the final say. Women couldn't vote. The man was the one that voted. Women didn't go to the military. The men fought. The men worked in the plant. The women stayed at home. But as time goes on, as time has gone on, you find now the women are in the workplace. The women are the head of the household. The women are the breadwinners. The women are raising the children, doing all the same stuff they were doing before, but they're also taking a lot of the roles that the men have. The women can now vote. They can work in the plant. They can go in the military. All the things that a man was doing and the woman's role was more subservient, those roles are no longer there for a man. So when you hear, and they were saying because the person said, I don't need a man. You always hear women say, I don't need no man. And that's where a lot of that comes from, is because the women's role has evolved so much now that the only real reason a woman may need a man, and sometimes they don't need it for that, is to procreate. If you think about it, because she's earning the income and she's raising a family, she's cleaning the house, she's doing all the things that normally the man's role was to be the breadwinner, was to come home and make sure that there's a roof over their heads and all those things. Now you have all these single women doing those things by themselves. And then they have the children because they get with a man only for that purpose. Now, I'm not saying only for that purpose, but they get with a man.
No, it's only for that purpose.
Well, some do.
Call it what it is.
Some do. Not all.
Not all the time. Not an absolute.
Think about it.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm sorry. Well, I don't want to cut you off like that. What I'm saying is this: the child is a byproduct of them getting with a man for just sex.
But some people want kids. Some people do.
No, but that's my point. That's what I'm saying. The child is a byproduct of that. Because now
I've heard some women say, "Well, I just want to have a baby and get it out the way so I can go on and do other stuff I'm trying to do."
Correct.
So
I've never heard a woman say that.
Like
I'm
that.
sorry.
I've heard some females say that. And
I mean,
let's go half on the baby.
What I'm doing.
And a man made that song.
Well,
no, let's look at what.
But other than making a baby, if you think about it, what real demand is there for a man in that woman's life? If you think about it, really, other than making a child, having a child, and you say, well, bringing up the baby together, you can still have a role in that baby's life. So that's still, now he don't have to be with the person for that. So she don't really need him to be in the house. He can still have a role with the child. But other than him making that child with her, what else does she need him for? She's got her own career. She got her own house. She got her own car. She's paying the bills. She's feeding the family. You know what I mean? All those things used to be the man's role. And this post was about that I was reading. Like I said, I'm always reading these posts because I find them interesting and I want to bring them to the show. But I've really found that to be a interesting discussion because it was saying women really don't need a man. And we always hear people say, I don't need no man, I don't need no man. And that's what the discussion was about. Women always saying that. And then this scenario was brought up because of that.
I mean, let's be real. Let's be perfectly real.
I just want to get some discussion on it.
I got discussion for it.
Yeah,
just like men need women. So,
well, no, let's be real.
We need them more than they need us.
But you really don't need us, okay? And we, I mean, you could survive. I don't mean take all women off the planet. I don't mean that. I mean, so far as a one-on-one relationship, you really don't need women, and we really don't need men. It's what we want. And I would much rather be wanted than for you to be with me because you need me. I want you to want me. Now I want that want to grow into, I can't really picture life without you. You know, I need you from that perspective, but not because I can't live on this level without you in my life. I don't want that.
No, you're right, absolutely right about that. It's not that you need to have a man in your life or you need to have a woman, but it was created that way for a purpose, and that's where I think we just lose and that's why I don't mind submitting to a man, because I do believe it was created that way for a man to be a head of a home,
the head of a household, right?
I do believe that.
Was so much that a woman no longer needs a man. It wasn't so much that they don't want a man. It was that because you always hear women say, "I don't need a man. I don't need a man." You've seen those statements different places.
I've seen them, and I'm going to tell you that is trauma response.
Right, but I'm just saying
that's all that is.
A discussion was raised about that statement, and then this scenario, which is what I just brought up, is what was discussed, and it really makes a lot of sense as to why some people say they don't need a man, or even how that scenario came about. That doesn't mean they don't want a man. But and you hear them say, well, if I never get married or if I never get with a man or whatever, I'll be happy. I'll be content in my situation. But I would like to have a man. I would like to have a person, a partner in my life. They don't say they don't want one. They're just saying that they don't need one. If it came down to that.
That just the way you just phrased that, you just framed that is a lot different than saying, I don't need no man.
Right. But I'm just saying,
what you just said. I say that.
Right.
I'm happy. I have a good life. Like her pointed out, but would it be better if you had somebody that you really love? Right. Absolutely.
Right. So
I'm welcoming to that.
So there's a big difference.
If I never had it, if I never get it, I'm still gonna be okay.
That's right.
So that's different than saying, you know what? I don't need no man in my life. Get them out of here.
And that usually comes from like it's just trauma issues, relationship after failed relationship. You're just tired. Like, I don't need that drama. I don't need that mess no more. I'm tired. Let it go.
Sound like straight trauma.
And that's what it's about.
You talk that language. And that's what the discussion was about, that need for a man versus a want, or need for a person and a want for a person. And that's why, like I said, I wanted to bring it up because, people say they don't need it, but in reality, it's the want part that, like you said, once I clarified that up, but that's how that discussion was going in that post, because it was just a general discussion as to, how this term came up. But if you look at how it didn't just come up. It evolved over the years of how women are today, where there is not as big a demand where you have to have a man in order to survive, in order to have a roof over your head, in order to have bread on the table. And you know what I mean? You don't have to have a man for that now. Those things, because a lot of times those women are filling those roles now. That single mother, working a job or two jobs and and bought a home for herself, or renting and have their own car, and they're providing the food for the family. They're doing all those things that were normally once considered the man's role.
I think of two words when I look at that. When a woman says that, I look at the word. Think about the word protection. You can say all that, but that word is that's vital. Whatever, to have protection, to feel safe and security. If you don't feel safe and secure in any situation, you're not gonna never perform at your best of your abilities, whatever. So that's big. And then also when men say, I don't need a woman, I think of the word nurturing, like that caring component. Men have that also, but usually it comes from the mother and stuff like that. So again, those people who saying all that shit, they just be talking, man. They just be talking, JBT. They just be talking.
Devil's advocate
you can survive. You can survive. You can get through, but will you feel fulfilled with everything? With that,
I'm gonna give you a devil advocate on the protection part, because when you first said protection, I thought about it. Do you know how many women have asked me to do references for their gun permits?
Yeah, I knew you was gonna go there. I knew you was gonna go there.
Even protection isn't. That was normally the man had the gun. You know what I mean? The man was the protector. But now you have a number of women going out getting pistol permits and carry permits now. So again, they're saying, I don't need I take care of myself. I see friends posting up pictures at the range shooting guns and all this kind of stuff.
It all sounds good, but you don't.
That's false bravado. That's false bravado. That's false bravado. That's exactly what that is.
Every situation, and you're not always locked and loaded like O-Dog
from
Minister Society. Whatever. You're not always locked and loaded like that. So again, just be talking.
And also to follow what David is saying, and Dr. Dunbar actually points this out, and I want to mention that we have to consider that we live in a first world country. In other words, we live in a country or in a culture where women are afforded the ability to go out and do the things that they're doing. Because if we would go south of Mexico into Honduras, Nicaragua, Guatemala, your life would be completely different, to the point where you would have no choice but to rely on a man. And the same thing for men. You'd have no choice but to rely on the women. So I think a lot of that is often lost in the separate when we have these type of discussions, is we never think about places where they don't have the modern conveniences that we do. And also, the over therapist asked a question, and I want to bring this up. David had highlighted, but we were moving so quickly. He says, Are you willing to allow your women to be in control? And the same question for the women. Ultimately, I am looking for a woman who can do that.
Do what?
Control. If something happens, if I fall into ill health, I want a partner who can manage the home.
Okay.
So I want somebody who can lead.
Right.
Because if I don't have that, and I have somebody who essentially is a child, then what good is that going to do me? What benefit is it to me to have another child around? They're ineffective. They're just another mouth to feed, essentially another liability.
You want a partner?
No, it's not a partner. For me, I wouldn't label it as a partner. Because I'm capable of doing everything that I need to do myself. But I'll label it.
That partner would be able to step up and step into place and take care of things until you got better. If you had a person where you ran and controlled everything, then when that person needed to be
something happened to you, they're lost.
They wouldn't know how to step up.
No, and that's the point I was going to make. The individual that one selects should be teachable. Far too often, we look at relationships, especially when we talk about partners, as if you're bringing somebody along and they're just there for the ride. You want somebody who's already has the capabilities to lead, but they're just not in that position. It's like you're second in command. If something happens, if you're in the plane, you got a pilot and a co-pilot, something happens to the co-pilot can fly the plane. They're just not doing it at the present time because that's the pilot's job.
Right. And that's what I was. Go ahead and finish. I'm sorry.
So the same thing applies that if the man is fulfilling his role and his purpose, he's going to select a person who can
Mhm.
step in that role in the
Right.
time of need. And if that need happens to be for the rest of his natural life, then that's what it boils down to.
And that's what it is. It's a partnership.
Mhm.
You have to know, and I was going to share it. I know sometimes you don't like me sharing biblical terms, but that's the word was saying that the woman was created to be a helpmeet. So to me, that means the man was the one that's supposed to be handling the business. The woman was there to help him
Right.
and assist him, but not to say. And he was the one that just was supposed to handle it basically. And but if there was a shortage, or like you saying, Herb, if he maybe he was over here doing something and something over here needs to get done, and that's what she's there for, and vice versa. It goes
Well,
both ways if you're
well,
doing it as a partnership, but
well,
you have to
even
respect the partnership. If you don't have
even
respect for the partnership, then it's not going to work.
even some of that seems prehistoric because the involvement in the advancement of women, that it also gives them the opportunity that it's not how it used to be, that women are some that probably have the most educated wins as far as black women. They have the higher degrees. They at this stage of game, so certainly they're going to have more feedback. So also that takes off pressure from a man as well. So I think people like get all this stuff tangled up,
Mhm.
and they try to have new values along with old values, and not and they just be talking instead of saying, "Damn, I'm talking about this person right here. I know what they bring to the table. I know what he brings to the table,
Mhm.
and we can collaborate and work
Together.
this out together." Because if you really true, and then you have all these terms, alpha and beta, alpha man, and all that stuff. When you're a leader and you really know, you don't even sweat that stuff.
Exactly. You're
And you
looking at it
say,
like a
No.
what?
yeah, and you say,
Right.
I know that my woman could get this done, and I'm fine with it. And you're
Mhm.
okay with your boys
Right.
around. Oh, you let her do that?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
she handles it. You don't
Right.
like it? Shut the hell up, or whatever the
Right.
case is. Stay
Yep.
out of it. Best. We good over here, and you're
Right.
able to say that. But when you gotta jockey for it, no man, I'm just saying I let her do this, and you gotta front and posture and all that. You ain't no
Mm-hmm.
alpha. You weak as hell. If
He's a
you can't
coward.
say, yeah, Kyle, yeah, better word.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're able to say, man, she got this, I don't gotta worry about nothing. We solid. We
Mm-hmm.
solid.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the ultimate goal in a relationship, to always feel solid on both ends, whatever.
Yeah. No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not trying to say going with the prehistoric ways of doing things, but being there for one another and being willing to bend, being willing to, and I don't want to use the word compromise because, like you said, sometimes you may be doing something for years, but it doesn't mean it was the right way of doing things. So it's not maybe you're doing now. You're probably doing something better than you was before
Mhm.
because
I mean, that kind of speaks to what Herb said about teachable.
being teachable, being
Mhm.
open, being that's I believe I've said it plenty of times on this show. Be open, be willing.
Cooperative.
Stop with all these, yeah. Stop with all these. Oh, can't do this, can't do that.
Yeah.
No, this,
I
no,
don't
that.
do that. I
No,
don't do that.
that's ridiculous. Like you ain't gonna work. You're not gonna find a perfect person.
Mhm.
You're not gonna. But the perfectness is that you make it. Like you find someone that you like. I'm into this person. You make it work by both being willing and open and honest, communicating, considerate of each other, being tentative to one another. As I've seen in the comments, being tentative to one another. That is what matters.
Mhm.
And all that other junk trying to prove points of who's like Dave said, who was the alpha? Who's this? No, let that junk go. Just live. Enjoy the rest of your life that you have here because it's not long. Unfortunately.
And I always, when sometimes I like to throw sports analogies in, and as they got older, like my man, the Black Mamba, rest in peace. But they always said, like, damn, if we wasn't tripping on who was the alpha, who was the big dog, we could have won like 8 or 9 championships together. And you equate that to relationships. If you wasn't tripping over this or power and control, damn, we could have made a nice run at it. We could have made a nice run at it. And sometimes it's so crazy, like the different parallels in life. And sometimes you just have to be able to sit back and say, damn, what's the best predicament? What's the best situation for me? And how do I reach the pinnacle of success or get to the top? And how do I get there? And you have to think about those people that play a key role in that. And a lot of times we don't. It's just so much jockeying for position on who should do this, and it's mainly for the people on the outside because you don't want them to feel a certain way or think a certain way. But again, you got to deal with the people that you eyeballing that's in front of you, and that's usually your mate. A lot being said. And we got one more essential talking point.
That's right.
Yeah. And we gonna get at it.
Really
do women really know about men, what they want and think?
Hell no. I mean, excuse me. I'm sorry.
Whoa, was that a Freudian slip?
No, right? I know Willie felt that one, huh?
Right. He made all of us feel
They
that.
don't know me. But did you give him a chance to get to know you?
But even when you give them a chance to get
No,
to know you,
because she breathed wrong and he dismissed her.
They know more about you than you know about you. And that's where the problem starts. Because you can't tell me, if I tell you I feel a certain way, and you say, no, you mad. And I said, no, I'm not mad. You mad. Thank you. And I'm like, I'm not mad. No, you mad. Okay, see, those kind of things.
If she said enough, you're going to get mad.
It's what they think you are or what they want you to be. That is what they think you are or what they want you to be. And you're saying you're not that. Oh, you are. You are. You just don't want to accept it. You don't want to admit it. You're going to tell me what I'm thinking. You want to tell me what I'm feeling. And when you do that to a man, that's just like the other subject where we're talking about not being cooperative, where you're trying to demasculate him by taking whatever he is and you're going to dictate it. You're going to tell him what he is. And women don't know men. Some women don't even take the time to know a man because they're so selfish. It's all about them. So they could really care less what that man should just be happy to be with them. So she gonna tell him what he want and what he need. And she gonna give it to him when she want to give it to him. No, sorry.
You know what I think okay, go ahead.
I think you touched the nerve on that one.
You know, the one thing I think I've learned is that you have to allow time in that space to get to know each other. Everyone's love language is different. So you can't assume or you cannot, just think you can read somebody's mind because we can't. We can misinterpret, looks. We can misinterpret tones. We can misinterpret, body language. And we think we know it, but it's not. Everyone's love language is different. What turns somebody else on may not turn somebody else on. And you may be more, like we mentioned this before, someone's more of a person could be a person that type of show their love by being a provider or being a server, or different ways of showing your love language. So you have to meet a person that you're willing to open up to allow them to get to know you, and you talk about it. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid. Tell me. I want to know, like, what turns you on. And then some things you have to let just happen naturally. like, right, just, having a conversation. Like, no one wants to hear that whatever they do is not right. No one wants to hear that. It messes with your ego sometimes, or makes you feel some kind of way. But I rather know so that I can correct it, and so that things can flow, or can flow, or and progress and grow. But if no one's talking and just like, oh, they just don't know, then how will I ever know if you're not opening up to share with me?
Communication. We always say communication
It's all about being open.
No matter what relationship subject we talk about, we always end up at communication. And I say that all the time. And people don't communicate. There's a lot of people who don't know how, when we're talking about understanding who you are. If you don't understand who you are, it's hard for you to put into words to tell another person how to please you, how to be intimate with you, how you feel in certain situations. Because if you don't understand your true feelings and yourself, then how can you explain it to somebody else so they can understand it?
Right.
Well, the key thing,
you have to learn yourself, and you have to learn to communicate.
The key thing about that is it's a two-sided street, and most of the time, the listening part. People can talk all they want to, so they think that's just the only part of communication, that they run their mouths and they just talk whatever. Listening is probably the most. That's the deal breaker right there. To be able to listen, to be able to pick up cues on what someone is saying, and then follow up. So a lot of times people just talk, and then they'll say, "Oh, you don't remember when I said that? Oh, when did you say that?" Or whatever the case. Remember, we was talking. We had a whole hour-long conversation, and okay.
And they'll pull out the most minute thing out of that conversation and ask you a question about it, like it's a test.
Kill it all without listening, whatever.
Pop quiz in the middle of our conversation, and I said.
And it's not about just listening; it's empathetic listening, being able to feel for what the person is saying. And I could do a parallel today about having a mediation with kids. Again, my middle school kids, but like I say, sometimes they're more mature than adults. So a lot of times dealing with their scenarios are like this. They sound so much like grown folks. But in certain circumstances, I got a lot going on. Herb cooking greens in the pot and all that. You hear the water running and all that, cabbages and all that. Like, what the hell?
Talking through the house.
That is not me. That is not me with the noise.
Yeah, like kid walking around with platforms.
What the
hell? So again, so you realize that
like I said, it is not I.
She didn't fail with the platforms though. She don't even know what I just said. So.
Who? You talking about me?
They talk about you, Lakia. I don't care. They talking about you.
What? What they say, Willie?
They said you were
robbed over the house, pots and pans cleaning.
I'm cooking. Yes, I am cooking late dinner.
We can tell.
I forgot I had the garlic bread in the oven. I'm like, oh shoot.
And you got shoes on in the house too.
Meanwhile, you walking around with platforms and high heels on and all that. Like, damn, put on some slippers.
Today.
You got shoes on? You got shoes on?
I do have shoes on. Yes,
yeah, we can tell. We heard them.
Really? Is something wrong with having shoes on in the house?
No, we just could hear you walking.
Yeah.
Can you?
Damn.
Yes.
Put on some damn slippers or something.
I was running.
Now it makes sense.
Because I was running because I had, but you could probably hear the dog too. I have a new dog.
Heard that too. Yep.
All that.
It's my dog. It's not, but it is.
We hear your whole life in the background.
Okay, I usually mute it, but this time I ran because I forgot about the garlic bread.
Did you save it? Say the bread?
It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
I thought it was her cooking greens in the background.
No, Herb's over there going through it.
But I forgot. He about to order his pizza run at 11:30 at night.
Yeah, it adds to my excess LBSs.
I was like, oh man, I just forgot about the. I had did the other one side was perfect. I'm like, oh shoot, messed that up.
So I want to hear the ladies' view on this. Ladies,
And what's the view again?
do women really know about men and what they want and think?
No. As I said it, I feel like everybody has different love language.
Well,
And
hold on. Let me intercede here for a moment. Let's not make it about an individual unless it's making it about the gender.
That's what we said.
so that's what I'm saying. So the gender would be us. That if it was any man that I would meet, you have to learn how they are.
No, and that's what I'm saying. You're talking when you say how they are, the gender. So let me put it to you like this: if you were walking into a room full of men, what would be the first thing you would think about them?
That there's a room full of men.
Right.
I wouldn't make a. I don't quite understand the question because I wouldn't make a judgment call just because I walked in a room. There's a room full of men. Hey,
and that's exactly, and that's what I'm getting at. The lady in the room often will tell you a lot about the individuals that are in there. So if you walk into a bar as a woman, if you walk into a bar and it's full of men, what would you think?
Walking out.
Why?
Because I don't like to be that outnumbered. You say it's all men in there, and I'm the only woman walk in, I'm walking out.
Exactly, and that's what I'm talking about.
I can't say that. See, I wouldn't because I do networking events, and
we know what you want to know about the locker room.
What do you mean about the locker room? What you say?
Yeah,
ultimate purpose. You're going in for business.
I'm going in for right. I mean, if I'm in a networking event,
yeah, but for me, I would probably be on. Going in to socialize. So if there's all men, I wouldn't feel comfortable. I would walk out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, that's different. See, for me, I've had to learn to walk into rooms with majority of men because in business,
normally what
majority
happens,
of men than there are women. And
that's what I'm getting at.
I'll go in there if it's all men if it's about business.
Yeah.
But if I'm going somewhere, I'm not going in a men only setting. I'm just not.
No, it's not a men's only. I'm just saying if men were all in there, and that's let me change the situation.
Please do.
Right. If a guy is out in a nightclub, he sees a woman he wants to approach, but she's surrounded by her friends, how does he approach them?
I think you start by saying hello to everybody.
But that doesn't mean that's going to happen. As I said, all men are not the same.
No. It's not about whether they're all the same. It's how do you do it? The man wants to talk to a specific female, but she's surrounded by her friends. Christine's on the right track. But this is the one thing that men have to understand that women don't, because women are always being pursued. So it's not incumbent upon women to understand men to that level. Whereas men have to. Men have to learn how to navigate, have to be socially graceful, have to know how to navigate certain things, have to know how to deal with a bitter female that may be trying to sabotage her friend's ability to get with this guy. Women don't have to navigate that because most men can say, hey, yo, we gonna step back and let you have this. Whereas women go cock block. That's why I'm asking the question. Do women understand men and how to navigate certain situations so they can get what they want? And this goes back to
okay.
If I'm navigating a situation to get what I want, I'm dealing with one man.
No. I get what he's saying because like you could work a room. I feel like
I
can work a room. So basically, if I am going in, if I step into a place, I look at who's in there, and humbly I can say majority of the time, eyes is on me as soon as I walk in. I think that my presence speaks, for itself. A lot of times, and you work it. You can work a room. So you can tell who's checking you out. You can tell who is, if you're thinking that way. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes I walk in a room and I'm just there to do what I need to do. Or
But
sometimes
is
if
that
I'm
really
there,
about what a man would understanding what men think and want?
yeah,
I'm
but you
lost.
can tell
Yes,
by body language. You can tell by the
absolutely,
way
you
they
can.
look at
Yes,
you. You can tell by different things that gives you the, yeah. So basically,
That's
right. And a lot of
that's
times
not
men
that's
don't
not the
approach, and
scenario
sometimes they
I was
do.
thinking of when
Me
I
either.
read that either.
I
I wasn't reading it that
misinterpreted
way.
what this
Right.
topic was about.
I didn't take it that way either. I was taking it
But I
as
mean, if you're
just a
going to put it in those terms,
general
then I would
question.
have to
That's what
say,
he's
yeah,
saying.
I understand too. I know and
Right.
I understand too. I work around majority men. I have in most scenarios. I've worked in the, in the facilities department. It was all men.
Mhm.
And I never had a problem. I could go in there. I could get what I wanted from them. I could get them to do the things that needed to be done. It was never an issue.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, women know
okay.
we have that we have that
But
magic about us that we know how to manipulate a situation or a space if we need to
So,
or want to.
that's not what
Yeah.
I was thinking of
But
when I
that's not
read
the
when I
lines of
read
where
the
we were going
question.
with that.
Yeah.
Right.
oh no, that's fine. So that leads me to the next question. Why do women, a lot of women, always say that he doesn't understand me?
Well, see, now you've gone back to individual, and it sounds like relationship.
No, women will say that about men in general. They say men don't understand us. They don't understand how we communicate. If women understand men, then they
No,
intrinsically would know how to speak to him
I
or
believe
to
a
them.
man does understand. I believe he chooses to or he don't.
Okay.
And that's where I look at it, because if a man wants to understand you or a woman wants to understand a man, we will listen and we will be attentive, and he will be attentive and he will, listen and see what it is that the woman wants and vice versa. So it's not if a man doesn't understand me. No, the man doesn't. He chooses not to.
Why do you
He's
believe
into
that?
you. He will choose to listen and he will choose to be attentive.
Why do you believe that? That he doesn't want to understand?
Because I believe for the most part we're not hard to understand. Majority of us as women, men know what we want. Y'all know we want either want to be in a relationship or we don't, or I don't need a man. However, you can tell by the conversation where a woman's head is, just like a woman can tell where a man is head is in the conversation. So from the conversation, the first one or it'd be the second, however, where a person's mind is, the direction that they potentially could be going in, if it's not the representative, which a lot of us bring out the representative first. But the hope is
There it
when you
is.
get to the real
There it
deal,
is.
you start seeing a person for who they really are, and you start seeing if that person really is being attentive and stay and be consistent. If they're not being consistent, then oh hell, wait a minute. I think I
Work
forgot
up the
about
damn bread again.
the
Yo, G, yo, you ain't the one on the grill.
Donovan Sharp, while she's gone, Donovan Sharp has a book out called Womanese. And essentially what this book is it breaks down the female language and what she's really saying. Now, I think he has 3 volumes out. I haven't purchased it yet, but I'm certainly intrigued. And at some point before the year is over, I will purchase it and I will report to the masses. But it's funny. When I first heard about this, I was like,
What the hell are you doing, man?
you lost me.
You upside down, dude.
I'm like, how is he upside down? But he must be
Because
looking down on
got
his
it down on he got it laying down on something.
Yeah.
He looking
Yeah, that's all that is.
Okay.
Better?
Much.
But basically, I believe
So
that. Go ahead, Herb. I'm sorry.
go ahead. You can get back in.
No, I'm just saying
I
that
was just talking about the book.
I'm not intimidated. I used to be intimidated walking into a room full of men because of how men have always came at me wrongfully, like in a wrong way. It made me feel very uncomfortable. But when I began to be in tune with who I am as a woman, I'm like, oh no, You know, you don't. I could look a man straight in his face and do business, talk straight. Don't give no. Oh, okay. Like not be flirtatious. You know, there's a way you can handle yourself as a woman, and bring your point across without having to say it. And so I have learned not to be intimidated. And then you know the region that Western New York is, it's majority white, Caucasian. It's not black. So majority of time when you walk in any networking event or any whatever that's going on business wise or concert wise or whatever, restaurants, it's majority white. And a lot of times you walk in, they probably never seen a black person walk in that restaurant. But I walk in there with my head up, and I'm like, "This hopefully they ain't gonna mess with my food." But
oh, jeez.
Right, but for the most part, I'm not intimidated to walk into a room with the majority that doesn't look like me, as a woman or a black woman. No, because for me, it's all I don't want anything. I don't want fear to stop me from being able to, get what I need to get for me, business wise, personally, whatever it may be. I believe that we all have something in common. It doesn't matter what your race is or what your gender is.
I'll rock with that.
So do women really know what men want and think?
Again, no, we don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with no, because all of that on the business level, that's just dealing with people.
Yeah, but I'm saying outside of business, in relationships, do you think women, or what do you think on that, on the relationship side?
I don't think we just walk into relationships knowing what a man wants or thinks, and I think it's cocky and arrogant to walk in with that attitude. Then you didn't come in ready to learn this man.
Right.
So
they weren't even open to it. In other words.
Yeah, you think you know everything. You walk in and I already know what he's all about. I know what to do. I know how to treat him. I know blah blah blah.
And you hear some women say those things too. You hear some women say that,
and I believe that. But I'm just saying, if that's the way you approach a relationship, then you're closed off to really learning who that person is and how they feel, what they think, what they like, what they don't like, what they need from you, what they don't want from you.
Yep.
And I think by doing that, I would think you make them shut down so far as being open to learning you. I think they would shut down. If she know everything,
yeah, they stop talking. There's no communication. Well, she already know. She know it all. She already know how I feel. She already know what I'm gonna say.
And that's when me talking. She already know it all.
Might as well sit and keep my mouth shut. Because anything he says is going to lead to an argument,
right?
Or some type of frustration. And then it goes back to you not liking the person anymore. Again, now you don't like them again. I love you, but I don't like you.
Full circle.
Exactly. It keeps coming back to I don't like you.
I think I always come back to not taking everything so serious.
I'm telling you, you don't love them, but you just don't like them.
Guys,
Mr.
I have
Counselor,
to have dinner.
Quiet over there.
It's time for me to have dinner. Dinner is ready.
What's for dinner?
Yeah,
garlic bread.
Oh shoot!
Yeah, garlic bread.
Garlic bread. That's all.
I like burnt
garlic bread with some extra butter on it.
A little butter, get some spaghetti, meatballs, and some garlic bread.
Y'all eating late? God,
yeah, we're workers. We work late.
Y'all eating late. 10:30, 11 o'clock.
We work late.
Herb ain't even ordered his wings yet. Herb gonna be about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Is it late? We'll talk about this later.
Go serve up your meals.
It is late, but hey, it is what it
Yeah.
is.
So
I'm a modern woman.
There you go.
that's all that
Okay,
counts.
they don't feel act like you didn't
But
know.
look at this. She is still handling her business because she
You
worked
see it?
whatever, and she still cooked a home cooked meal for her family.
That's right. That's
Thank you.
right. You know it is 11 o'clock at night. She'll be in
At night.
bed.
And we're gonna go
She'll
for
be
a
in
walk.
bed.
I was told I gotta go for a walk afterwards. See,
I
and
know
that's
that.
okay. I'm okay being told that because the fact of the matter, I'm not totally happy with everything that goes on with my body, and I do want to be healthy.
Okay.
You know, so I'm confident enough, not confident, but I'm okay with
You're comfortable with it, right?
I'm comfortable
them
with things.
telling
You know, hey,
Yeah.
let's go for a walk. I love to go for walks with my guy or you know, at night or just chill and just have conversation about our day. I think that's great stuff. You know, so I don't take that offensively. I take it, let's go. That's our time, our chill time down, just whatever it is, and just relax and chill and walk and
Yeah, I
have
think it's
fun.
crazy that some people don't want to cooperate. You know, they don't want to listen to their mate or partner saying, you know, let's go for a walk after dinner, or you know, let's exercise together, let's go to the gym together. Some people, now both men and women, take that offensively.
Yes,
Right.
they do.
They take
I
it
like that.
offensively,
I
and
like to say,
think it's
hey, let's go
crazy.
walk together. Let's
You
work
know,
out
exactly.
together.
Is there?
You know,
let's do this together. Let's be healthy and fit together. That way, we both make sure that we're around long enough to enjoy each other.
Then that's what we discussed. We want to be healthy, to be here for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm
enjoy
okay
each other's
with that.
company. You don't want to be.
I'm about to go have some spaghetti.
Well, go do your thing, baby girl.
All right,
It was
guys.
good to have you back.
Good seeing you guys again. Hopefully, I'll be back. Hopefully, next week. I will.
Tell Mr.
All right,
Man, say
guys.
hello too. What's up?
Thanks for joining us. All right.
Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.
All right.
I will. We'll do, Willie.
Right.
Okay.
Where Herb go? He went to go order his wings.
Order his wings or whatever he's going to do.
Or his pizza, his sub sandwich, whatever he's doing.
Yeah, I think this was a good discussion. As usual. I mean, this, that last question kind of got me. I didn't understand where he was going with that, but I was thinking
it was still kind of convoluted.
Yeah, I was thinking more so of understanding in a relationship. Do they think and know what a man thinks and feels? And you're never gonna do that, especially as you get older, because we think and feel differently to the point where women think one way. Like I said, women think more emotionally. Guys think more of structurally. You know what I mean? We think more.
I've wanted to ask you about that because I think that was you that posted it.
The emotional intimacy.
Emotional intimacy versus mental intimacy. Please explain yourself.
And that was basically what I was saying. Men think with more. We focus more on thought, and women focus more on emotion. So even in intimacy and sex, if a woman is upset for whatever reason, sex is the last thing on her mind.
Yep.
But a man, he could be upset with you. He could be mad. You can cuss him out. But if he think, okay, I'm just let her finish it. When we get done, we gonna do this. That's see. Men think we think.
Are you over there laughing, David?
No.
Women, they're emotional intimacy. So they're more emotional. They're not going to want it. Their mind goes away from sex when they're upset, when they're frustrated, when he's done something, or she's asking him to do something. Even if she's asking him to do something he ain't doing, she's laying there in the bed because she's upset and thinking about it. Even if she's doing it, she's only doing it because he wants to do it. She's not doing it because she's into it. So that's that emotional intimacy for a woman.
But isn't that still submission?
Yeah. But I'm saying, but in that case where she might do it, but most times a woman, if she's upset or angry or those kind of things, she's not thinking about sex and she's not trying to do sex. A man could be angry, he could be upset, he could be brokenhearted because his thought is about sex. His emotions, I'm upset, but this sex is gonna help me get over this. I'm thinking I'm gonna go ahead and do this because we think
So
about.
you don't think men withhold sex when they're upset?
Like,
No, tell me.
I want to.
Do you withhold? This
I
is
would-
a question for you men. Do you withhold sex when you're upset?
Very rarely does a man withhold sex.
Listen.
If anything, I'm gonna try to knock it through the wall or something. I ain't gonna withhold it. No,
David, what is your take?
Listen, if I'm mad and we constantly bickering and all that stuff, whatever, I'm not about to be intimate with you like that. Like seriously, seriously.
If you don't like the person, you're getting to that point. Yeah, that's
I don't. It doesn't even matter. You can come through there butt ass naked, speedballing all day long. If we don't get along, look at you.
So I'm not talking about getting along.
That's different. See, that's different. That's different, Dave. We're talking about
I'm not talking about like
you're in a relationship, but like say for example, you come home and you haven't, you've been dealing with them kids. Them kids got you upset, but your girl walked through the house butt naked. Your mind's like, yo, I'm about to go knock this out. Although these kids have got on my nerves, I'm aggravated. You still can go have sex with her. Whereas if she came home and she been dealing with them kids and them kids got her all upset, sex is the last thing on her mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Then I look at it as
they're more emotional with because they're more emotional with sex. Men.
Then I look at that as an issue with the man. If she's upset like that and you can't take her from them raggedy ass kids or the little co-worker, whatever, something ain't right. Something ain't right.
But it's
still, so you feel like
it's still emotional.
As a man, you should be able to like, change her mood.
Yeah,
no,
baby,
but I'm not saying you can't. But I'm saying in most cases, if a woman is upset, if she's upset, when I said, like I said earlier, if you're upset with me, Christina, you're upset with me. You're not thinking about having sex with me. You're upset with me, and whatever is upsetting you got to be dealt with before you even consider having sex with me. I'm sitting there saying, well, I'm gonna let her say what she got to say because we're gonna do it when we get done. My mind is already on it. I'm thinking about just waiting for it to happen. No matter what the anger or what the frustration, whatever the case is, men think women are more emotional. And I say that all the time on the show. And that's where that question came from because I was reading something. I'm always reading stuff, but I was reading something and the person was saying, if I'm upset with my man, I ain't having no sex. You can forget about that, And so that's how I came up with that discussion. It was a woman saying it about being upset with her dude and not having sex with him. I just put the man's role in there as men think about sex and we can have sex. Even if we're upset, even if we done had a bad day, if we whatever the case may be, if we're thinking about it, we can still have sex. If a woman is upset, she's not thinking about sex because she's thinking with her emotions. Her actions are built on emotions. With her intimacy, she can't be intimate with you if she's upset about something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So what about so seeing the difference of what he's saying, David, he's not talking about where you can't stand the woman. Would you withhold sex from your lady if you were in a bad mood or upset with her about something? Not something that you're not going to be able to get over, but
if you're just upset with her. No.
Yeah, I'm asking Dave. You already said,
all right, give me a minute. I might say, give me a minute and kind of get myself worked up to it. But at the same time, once I see she's in that mood, because now my thought is on it, I'm gonna prepare myself for it. Even though I might be upset with her.
That's where you stand. I want to know that. So David, what about you? How would you?
Well, definitely I would want to process the conversation and
so you want to clear the air first?
Yeah, I want to clear the air, and then after that, hopefully, if you clear the air with the right person, if you clear the air with the right person, they could take you out of that frame of mind. Things could go down. but that has to be with the
Hopefully that ought to go down.
right person with because sometimes you in situations.
So if she's being sweet, you're mad about something, you haven't addressed it yet. You all haven't addressed it yet. She knows what you're mad about, but so she could talk you into being in the mood. She could be like, baby, I'm sorry. She could be kissing on you, whatever. And you'll let it go for then.
At least till I'm finished.
Deal with it after sex, or you still got to handle it then. You still got to have.
No, if she can do all that, no doubt about it, things is gonna go down.
I'm just checking. I'm just asking.
Now, on the woman's side, Chris, if that was his flip side, how would you respond? Would you think you'd still be upset, right? No matter how much sweet talking he's doing, because you're upset in that situation, you think you would be sexually, motivated, intimate,
It would probably take a lot of. It would take a lot. It wouldn't. I wouldn't be.
Women are emotional.
Yeah,
women are emotional creatures. I say it all the time. I said, women think love with emotion. Men love with thought. We think about the actions we do, and then we do it. Women will say to a woman will say to a man, "You don't love me," and say, "Well, I do love you." And then he'll start naming all the things he's doing. She said, and she'll still turn around and say, "But you don't act like it. You don't. There's something emotional he's not doing to show her," and she's looking for an emotion from him, but he's doing actions because we think and we do things to try to show you. Whereas women are emotional, so we're saying "I love you." We're
holding her hand. He's not
right, exactly all those kind of things. Men don't think
cuddling
that
at night or whatever.
Right. We don't think that, man. Like y'all want to cuddle.
Yeah, yep, absolutely, exactly. All of that.
Men don't be thinking about cuddling. We like go to sleep. All right, we done. Let's
Neanderthals.
That's right. Well, cuffing season is coming pretty soon, so
it's definitely coming.
It's almost cuffing season.
So I mean, since we threw that out there, so y'all don't like that? Y'all don't like the cuddling? There's don't everybody speak at once.
No, it's a beautiful thing when you cuddling with someone that you feel that you comfortable and y'all got that vibe together with it. But when it's tension and all that stuff, sometimes you may just be going through
I'm not talking about tension or bad relations. I'm saying, you got a good relationship. Do y'all
if you got a good relationship?
Cuddling? Is it just like this frivolous thing that you do just because a woman wants to do it?
Right. And we're only gonna do it for so long. If you notice, they only gonna do it. Well, now they will do that like with the cupping position. Where her back is and you hold it like that, but to be like under each other and hugging and all up on his chest. Huh?
No, I was just thinking about the whole thing. Like it depends on when you want to cuff and spoon and all that stuff. Don't think you're gonna spoon with me when boxing is on. Or whatever the case is.
And that's what they want to do.
Why can't you cuddle while watching boxing? Why can't you cuddle while watching boxing?
Because I'm gonna be moving and I'm gonna be doing unless you want to get hit in the head or whatever.
We're thinking and watching the game. We're thinking and watching the boxing. Y'all laying there, y'all in emotion. Y'all in y'all emotions. Y'all ain't thinking about the game. We're thinking and watching the game. We're thinking and watching the basketball. So you're distracting our concentration.
I prefer you to go to bed. Go to bed and let me do this on my own, whatever. Don't come here.
See?
Dang.
There you go.
Seriously.
I love this show. I'll tell you.
Seriously.
This is hilarious.
Yeah. Go to bed.
So when all that's over, so after the boxing match is over, after the game is over, then what? Like, or then it's like, I'm trying to sleep.
I'm amped up, whatever. And I'm probably gonna tell you ahead of time, whatever. Like, yo, after this over with, you already know.
You're trying to go get some. That's right. Now our mind is thinking about.
So now the game is over. Now it's time to get busy.
Our mind is on intimacy. See what I said? It's all about thought. Our thought was on the game. Now our thought is on the intimacy. So we going into the room and we're going to try. All right, baby, I'm sorry. Okay, let's, And you be like, no, I'm sleepy. Now you got attitude. So you ain't trying to have sex. See? Emotion. You got attitude because he wasn't giving it to you during the game or during the boxing match. But now his mind, his thought is on you and being intimate, but you're upset emotionally, so you ain't trying to do it. Emotional intimacy, thought, mental intimacy.
Oh yeah, what about that? The after party depends upon if their team won. So if your guy lost the match or your team lost the game, then are you like not in the mood to be?
That's very rare. No, those two things like then they have nothing to do with each other.
What about you?
Because your team lost, that don't mean I'm gonna be a loser for the rest of the night.
I think for me,
okay,
that
might cheer me up. Actually, that might actually cheer me up, make me feel better. I'm going to be with my woman because I'm aggravated. My team lost, but now I'm gonna go ahead and be with my woman and feel a little bit better. See, our thought patterns are different for men. Thought and women with emotion. We're not emotional. We're not going to bed all emotional, all upset because our team lost, so now we're not going to have no set. No.
And I think for me, as I got older, I realized that before, when you diehard fan of something, you as a guy, you messed up. But as I got older, I'm like, man, like whatever the case, I could kind of assess the situation with the team and know, like, I don't have, like right now, my team is the Steelers. And I say right now, I don't have no emotional investment in them because I don't expect anything from them. But like back in the days when boxing, when Floyd Mayweather used to fight, when he fight, I stand up the whole time. I don't care where he's at. Where I'm at, I stand up because I want him to win, so I'm amped up. Unfortunately, he never lost, but if he lost, I'd probably be like, damn, I would probably be like, man.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that I'm going to be like, don't touch me or whatever the case, I'm in a bad mood or whatever the case is. It depends. And sometimes women have to say the right things when they know, like, man, he's a diehard Steelers fan and he told me they lost. I got to come with a different approach.
Right.
Know your personnel.
Let me go cheer him up.
Yeah.
Let me cheer him up. Get his mind off the game.
Yeah.
Again,
so
thought.
It's certain things.
Let me go get his mind off the game. So you're going to do things that you know is going to arouse him and get his mind on sex, not on the game anymore. So again, his thought is what you're changing. You're not changing the outcome of the game. You're changing his thought from the game to being intimate with you.
Okay.
She's taking notes, huh?
I am. You see me writing? You see me writing?
Nothing wrong with that. That's how we learn
information.
A lot of times people don't want to
cheer
take
him
notes.
up. Sex. Okay.
That's right. That's right. Man, please. If you have a woman and your woman can look at you and see you upset about something and say, instead of saying, well, I'm gonna just stay away from him until he feel better, and said instead, I'm gonna go try to make him feel better and do something with him or be with him or give him what he like, then that right there is a big plus in that relationship, because even when he don't have to ask for it and you see that he is depressed or upset or whatever, and you make efforts to cheer him up, especially sexually for a man, that's a big thing.
And and that runs along the lines. Granted, this particular thing is about women. It's the same thing for. I'm sorry, this is about men. This is the same thing for women. Women want a man who can read them, and this is what they often talk about when they say he doesn't understand me. What that is code for is he doesn't know how to bring me out of that shell when I've shut down. It's the same thing with men. We all get to a certain point where we want to be left alone, even though we don't want to be alone.
And you, but you know what? But even with that, you know when that person, if you're into that person and y'all communicating and understand each other, you know when it's a time to leave them alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know
Right.
when there's a time to leave them alone, and there's a time where, okay, he's feeling bad and I need to do something to make him feel better. Or
Correct.
she's feeling bad and I need to do something to make her feel better. So you come in, you done had a hard day at work, and you come in the house and you looking like you just really had the roughest day, and I go in and I make you a bath water. You know what I mean? I go, I'm not trying to throw you down and have sex with you, because I know that may not be what you need to make you feel better, to make
Right.
you feel like I know you've had that hard day. I'll go run the bath water and run the bath water for you, or soak your feet and do your feet for you. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do something that I know is because I'm into you and because I understand sometimes you need that pampering or that to me to show you that I care and understand that you need something without having to ask for it. The
And this,
hardest is for having to ask for every time you in a situation or a mood that you got to ask your partner to do something. That's the hardest thing sometimes. If your partner can pick up on your vibes and your feelings and do things without you asking, that means that person is into you. That person really cares about you because they pick up on and they do the things you need without you having to ask. Always
and,
having to ask.
and this works its way back around to postpartum, what we were talking about earlier, where if there's a husband and wife and he steps in and does the midnight feedings, it relieves a load off of her. And this is why being a single mother is so difficult, because she doesn't get a break. This is why I can't understand why Western culture glorifies being a single parent, and they delude these younger women into thinking that it's easy or that it's enjoyable. It blows my
I don't think
mind.
they glorify it though. I don't think they glorify it. I think more so it's more accepting. I don't think it's glorified. I think it's more accepted now. And the thing is because it's so much of it going on. It's just more accepting now. It used to be shunned. Remember, they used to send them to a girls' school, and they weren't in the regular schools anymore. You
Yep.
sent them away down south.
Automatically disenrolled in
Right.
school.
Right, exactly. You always sent them away so it wouldn't be seen. And now it's more accepted now. It's not glorified, it's just more accepted. And it's like, why I'm not gonna embarrass my child or make my child feel like they're no good, or those kind, because that's what was put on these younger ladies back in the earlier days. You were bad, you were dirty, you were nasty, you were a tramp.
Right, you were a bad girl. You were,
Right,
you
exactly.
were fast.
Exactly, fast girl. I couldn't think of the word. Yeah, fast. So they took them out of the schools because they didn't want
them to influence other girls
in the school. That's right. But now it's more accepted, and that's just what it is now. It's just accepted. It's not like it's glorified. It's just accepted now. And it's not. That doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It's just that's just the case.
Yeah.
Man, what a conversation! Lots been said, and I'm always gonna keep emphasizing this, that I love the platform. I love people being transparent and being able to share stuff, because none of this stuff is black or white. It's just a lot of gray areas. Nobody has the ultimate, again, blueprint or solution. But to be able to throw out some of your experiences and stuff like that, it helps people to look into stuff further and like, man, okay, yeah, I can understand that point and all that stuff. So, man.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, what I'm saying right now, this is my closing point. So y'all ain't gotta worry about me being long-winded. So great conversation. I can't wait to next week's talking points or whatever. And usually how I really want to set it up, like stuff that we post and things, like a point that someone has said that you say, oh, we gotta go in, we gotta go live, and we gotta have that conversation. So we've been the big four that's been apart for the last month and a half. So let's look on that level. Like some of the things that said, you could have topics, right? Just what somebody has said, and you're like, man, like, oh, we definitely got to go in on that one. So when I think about that, that's how I want to kind of gear it. Like, oh, this conversation ain't over with yet. Like, and when you really real, let's bring it to the panel. Because I'm not about to type long paragraphs going back and forth. I entertain you for so long, but after that, you know where we at on Monday night.
That's right.
You know where we at. Like, if you got an issue with it, come with it. Come with it. Because again, everybody says that group, the Counselor's Corner, hate women and all that stuff. I'm like, really? That's what y'all
not even close.
Yeah, that's what y'all doing.
I mean, but you have some, you do have some comments in there that
yeah. Well, you always gonna have a few.
But I think,
and I don't even think them guys hate women. They say stuff, and sometimes conversations gonna make you uncomfortable if that ain't your world. And I think that's it. The uncomfortability to be like, oh, he hates women. I don't look at it like that. I don't look at it like that.
I wasn't going to say hate them, but I was going to say they make some pretty controversial statements.
Yeah, well,
I know.
Doesn't it go? Doesn't it go along
controversial corner?
It does. But it just ruffles feathers.
But it's an enlightening show. You think about it.
Growth.
I mean, the things just like the discussion we just had. The stuff we talked about, emotional intimacy versus mental intimacy. That was just to talk about it and actually let people hear what we're talking about. People, like you said, were taking notes. People were, getting a different.
Talk about me. I was taking notes.
Yeah, you too. Exactly. We all take notes. We get a woman's point of view, a man's point of view, and you think about things that you normally really had never thought about.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't grow when you're comfortable. You don't grow when you're comfortable. You only grow when you're uncomfortable.
Exactly. You're talking about things that normally you don't talk about. Yeah.
I agree with that.
All right.
Well, y'all, let's keep growing. That's all I got.
That's my closing comment. So it's on y'all. So y'all ain't got to worry about a long-winded thing.
I'll go next. As usual, communication. As you see every week, no matter what we talk about, communication is the key. You have to talk to your partner. You have to understand who you are and be able to express who you are to your partner, especially if you're planning on making that a long-term relationship. You need to be open to communicate and open to listen. And then, like we talked about at the end, understand a female and her emotional intimacy and allow her to understand your mental intimacy. And in my final closing, as usual, headshots are deceiving.
I knew it.
Here we go.
All I got to say. Have a good night.
All right. Appreciate it.
Be afraid to put your cards on the table. I know this goes against popular belief, but when you're dating, if time is of the essence, be transparent. Don't let your representative put you in a situation that your real self doesn't want to be in. We see people do this often. They'll say, well, I liked them, so I kind of told him this, or I kind of told her that. Deception is the quickest way to be dishonored. So put your cards on the table, let them rock, play them, and as always, growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
What a combat. So we already got some misogynists try to disguise themselves as intellectuals online. It shows. I don't know if that's a pot shot towards somebody. Hey,
I don't know.
I'm a counter puncher. If you're gonna pot shot, throw some names or say whatever, because I'm gonna counter back. That's what I say.
I just like to say that men and women, we're not as different as it seems. We have the same issues. we might express ourselves differently, but we're not that much different. And I think the conversations like this help us bridge that gap and learn how to communicate with each other. So keep coming back.
I didn't know an individual had to disguise intelligence. Intelligence is defined as the ability to recall information. So I'm not sure what but anyway.
They just have to find their dictionary. That's all. They just found their dictionary and just figured out, pull out a few words.
I don't hide behind a blank avatar. So whoever that is, whatever they're feeling, one.
That's what I say. We counter punches, whatever. Throw it, we coming back, whatever. And I'm gonna dig into it.
Thesaurus. They done found their thesaurus. They done pulled out their thesaurus and just found a bunch of words.
Because the funny thing is this: we always see the term misogynist thrown around, but if you ask them what the opposite of that is, most of them can.
They don't even know what that word means.
Mm.
Oh Lord.
She said, I didn't indicate anywhere.
To my Cowboys, kick these Eagles' asses. Y'all be good.
All right, we out, whatever. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the feedback in the thread. Appreciate you all. See you next week. And you already know, we counter punches here.
I know that's right. Knockout blows.
Good night, y'all.
Good night. Everybody stay safe and be good.